Fighting Islamic State street to street in southern Mosul. Soldiers from Iraq's Rapid Response Unit say the militants remain, but have suffered heavy losses. With the help of coalition air support, Iraqi forces are squeezing the group from multiple fronts. In a bid to reach the Tigris River bisecting the city, soldiers are also pushing deeper into the east. Here they've spotted an Islamic State drone flying overhead. For the people that call Mosul home, the sight of government troops after nearly 2 years is overwhelming. This man clutching an execution order issued by IS. The paper which cuts short his son's life. Despite losing chunks of this city, there's still fierce resistance going forward. Losing Mosul will probably spell the end of the Iraqi side of Islamic State's self-styled caliphate.
الله يقويكم اخوي الله يسعدكم. هذا زوج عدموها والبنتين عدموها. اين الاسلام؟ اين دين محمد؟ انقذونا منهم، خلصونا من هذول الكفره.
Iraqi special forces have made further gains against Daesh in eastern Mosul, where an offensive aimed at liberating the city is gaining momentum.
This morning I shot down a Daesh drone. It was an aircraft, and half an hour or 1 hour ago we shot down the second one. They're flying these aircraft intensively to locate our Humvees and our presence in order to send car bombs.
The spokesman for Iran's counterterrorism service, spokesman for Iraq's counterterrorism service, or the CTS, says the elite troops have taken full control of the Baladiat district. The Iraqi forces have also encircled the neighboring Suqar district. On Sunday, the CTS reached the east bank of the Tigris River for the first time. The advance will allow the army to dislodge the terrorists from the city's west. Iraqi Prime Minister Haider al-Abadi says government forces are in the final phase of the operation.
Iraqi forces battling Daesh in Mosul have fully recaptured a strategic district, reaching the banks of the Tigris River in the city's south for the second time in a week.
Starting this morning, our troops advanced into the Palestine district and we have now recaptured the entire area. We are at the banks of the Tigris River. Daesh have all fled, not a single one of them remained. Most fled to the western side of Mosul.
The army, backed by rapid response units, is also clearing the southern district of Sumer from Daesh. Reports say that elite troops have also recaptured the Tobat district in eastern Mosul. Government forces are advancing on 3 fronts. Last week, the army entered the city from the north for the first time, while elite troops reached the banks of the Tigris River. Iraqi officers say that improved coordination among the advancing forces have put Daesh on the back foot. Concerns remain about civilians trapped in the fighting. The UN says the increase in military activities has led to the largest daily movements of people since operation began in October.
On the 2nd of January, some 4,000 people were displaced on that day alone from eastern Mosul city. That's one of the largest daily movements of people since the beginning of the crisis, which started on the 17th of October. Since then, so since the 3rd of January, displacement numbers on a daily basis have returned to an average of about 1,000 per day.
Lark also pointed out that the number of displaced people since the operation began in Mosul now stands at just over 135,000. The UN humanitarian coordinator also noted that around 700 to 800 residents of Mosul have required hospital treatment over the past 2 weeks. Some 1 million residents remain in the city.
A U.S. Navy ship has fired warning shots at Iranian military vessels. Seems an American defense official says the incident happened in the Strait of Hormuz on Sunday. The USS Mahan destroyer apparently tried to establish contact with what were rapidly approaching Iranian ships that didn't respond. 3 warning shots were fired where they got as close as 800 meters. Let's bring in Kaveh Afrasiabi, talk about what's going on here. He's an Iranian-American political scientist and author. This could get hot, couldn't it? U.S. officials say this happened in international waters. Why do you think the Iranian vessels then didn't respond to communications from the American warship? What was going on?
Well, there are always 2 sides to this story, and we have to wait and see how Iran responds to these allegations and whether or not, in fact, the U.S. ship was in the international waters and so forth. So I would, await judgment on this until further information is received. However, this is not the first time that we see, such things happening in the volatile Strait of Hormuz. And, there's a very small part of it that is international waterway. And most of the ships going in go through the Iranian territorial waters.
Could you tell our viewers why this place is important, why the Strait of Hormuz is important?
Well, so much of the world's oil exports go through that, and the Iranians, because of hostility with the United States and so forth in the past, have threatened to shut it down. And there's tremendous geopolitical and strategic importance attached to the Strait of Hormuz that is bound to continue in the decades to come.
Well, I was going to say,
and this is also a potential flashpoint between an assertive regional power and intrusive Western superpower that considers Persian Gulf basically as its own private lake sometimes.
Yeah, well, why is it going to go into Donald Trump? He becomes US president in just 11 days now. He's shown pretty tough views on relations with Iran thus far. Where do you think it's going to go within the next, bearing in mind how hot potentially this is around that whole area, where's it going to go over the next 6 months, do you think?
Well, I don't really think that is going to be much of anything happening with, Trump going through the transition to install himself. And, he has sent mixed signals with respect to Iran. On Persian Gulf, he has threatened to beat back the Revolutionary Guards and their vessels. On the other hand, he has hinted at cooperation with Iran and Russia and Syria vis-a-vis the menace of ISIS and terrorism in general. And we'll see which side of the aisle the chips will fall.
Trump was no fan of that big Iran nuclear deal, was he? He was no fan of that nuclear deal that was brokered under Obama.
Well, he has basically 3 positions on the nuclear deal. He has 3 basic positions, one to scrap it, the other to revise, and, to also maintain and enforce the contract. And my hunch is that he will enforce the deal and try to renegotiate it, but this will drag on to his 2nd or 3rd year and so forth. Nothing immediate.
Kaveh, thanks for your time. Kaveh Afrasiabi, political scientist and author.